I like experiencing new things, and I like to do that in North America.
Yeah.
I love Hocevar's speed, but he's going to have to get his together.
Technically, my pick won first.
I was so excited for Daniel. It was unbelievable. We'd set $50,000 a year aside for fines.
Wow.
How often did you go past that 50,000?
There was a few years. Yeah. Welcome to Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, presented by NASCAR on Fox. I'm Kevin Harvick. She's Kaitlyn Vincie. And
our guys back
one
from
and
Mexico.
only Mamba Smith, fresh back from Mexico City.
Amigos.
Oh, how much?
¿Cómo estás?
Yeah, Spanish did you pick up?
None. I left with that and I came back with that. That was all I had.
that's solid.
That's all you've got.
Yeah, that's all I got.
How was it?
It was amazing.
Give us a report.
Okay,
Yeah.
so front to back, the fans, first off, you guys showed up in Mexico. Amazing.
Nice.
Electric. The American fans that came over too, that was real. More Americans came than I really expected to show up. So that was cool. We had some closers out there.
Really?
They were
Love
yelling
that.
to us, so that was cool. That was cool to see. The fans were so much fun. They were excited to be there.
They're very energetic.
Very
Super
passionate,
in it.
yes.
Super
Yes.
passionate.
Very passionate.
You know what I thought was really cool too is I saw there was a lot of families, but there was a lot of just like couples, like young couples in
That's
the grandstands,
interesting. Yeah.
like as if they were going for a show or like a concert. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Did they whistle?
Not that I saw.
Oh, man. When I was there, they whistled every time. They'd start
Really?
whistling.
There was they started to get the wave going.
Yeah?
They Olay chants were going. I got to ride in the pace truck, and when we came through like turn 1, that speed section, they went. I was like, and they were going nuts. It was amazing.
That's really neat.
I loved every bit
So
of
you
it.
were head of hype again.
Yeah, chief hype officer.
Okay.
Had a fight.
I got you. So you had the crowd on their feet.
I had the crowd on their feet, and obviously Daniel doing so well all weekend.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was
Yeah.
huge. I don't think people can really understand how important that was, and I know we'll get into it, but like I made a tweet earlier in the weekend. I'm like, the reaction was like when Dale Jr. won at Daytona in 01, and some people got mad at me about that, but I'm telling you, that's how the fan base reacted to him passing every single car. They're on their feet. It was insane.
It's pretty cool.
Wow,
was cool.
That is really neat that you got to experience it firsthand.
I know. Something I never really thought about being able to experience. So
Yeah.
I took a minute in the stadium section, just looked around after it all was done.
Did you
Yeah.
eat anything good?
Yeah, food. You said the food was good.
Food was really good. We had a steakhouse.
Mm.
in
Your
our
cheeks
hotel.
look a little chubbier.
Yeah, they should.
Damn.
But my skin should look a little better too. The food had no
my.
additives. I ate.
So you feel
every night.
leaner,
I feel
lighter.
lean, mean. Mamba
Today,
machine.
Kevin has called me old and Mamba fat. So that's where we're at.
You know, listen, you can't.
It's it's a lighthearted environment.
it is. He's just a big
She
bully.
takes it much more serious than he does.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I just call him old back, but he does have nice shoes today.
I
So.
have my
I
track
did
shoes
notice
on.
those,
I'm dressed in my track attire. We had to
There you
shoot the
go.
show at a different time today. So
Sure
you could
did.
make it back
Is this
from Mexico.
Yeah, is this normally when you're eating dinner about 5 o'clock?
Usually 4:30. Yeah. I eat with the blue
Okay.
hairs.
Welcome in to another edition of Happy Hour. So glad you guys are joining us. We're going to recap everything that happened in Mexico, preview Pocono this weekend. You have your sips. Where can they find us on socials?
Harvick Happy Pod on Twitter and pretty much on every bit of social. That's pretty much our handle for everything.
Yeah.
So make sure you check us out. I do scan it. I do like to chat with y'all. Some of y'all a little less than others.
Yeah.
This is
But,
true.
you know, it's still fun.
You got to laugh at the others.
Dude, they're,
Yeah.
I will say, like, even the people that, like, that come at us a little sideways, it's still fun. Like, it's all love, you know?
Yeah, it's
They're
just-
passionate.
Some people like our opinions, some people don't. But
And-
we welcome all your opinions, whether
There's
you
lots-
like them or not.
You know what they do love? They always say, there's always like 8 comments in there. Kaitlyn looks great today. Kaitlyn looks great today.
geez.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of love in there.
Oh, that's good. Speaking of social media, I don't know what to say to
That's
that.
good.
Battle of the Harvicks. It's available now on the NASCAR on Fox YouTube channel. And this was a very cool behind the scenes look, right?
It
of your
is. We're very
weekend.
fortunate to have everybody from NASCAR and Fox, and they chose to come shoot everything behind the scenes at the race. And obviously, we all know how it all turned out. So have some little exclusive interviews with Mom and I and Keelan
Love that.
as we went through the weekend. So hopefully everybody turns it on and watches it. It's pretty fun.
I feel like your wife doesn't typically do interviews. So
Typically
it's cool
not.
that she did.
Yeah, typically not. But I've learned that she'll do a lot more for Keelan than she will for me.
That's fair. If I was her, I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be neat. Yeah, again, that's available now on the NASCAR on Fox YouTube channel, so make sure you check it out. All right, though, big picture, takeaways from Mexico City. Do we feel this event achieved what it set out to do?
I love doing unique events, and I think that they don't last forever. I think that 1, 2, 3 for 3 years is probably too many, as we learn every time we do it for too many years. So 1 or 2 years, move it around, do something different. I like that. I liked my experiences that I had in Mexico City. I think we all learned. We heard about people saying that they were going to boycott the race, didn't want to go. Industry. It is amazing to me what rumors can start in the shop. This thing was happening from start to finish, and I liked it. I thought the race was good. I think when you look at the fan base and Suarez winning on Saturday and the fans that showed up on Sunday, I like experiencing new things, and I like to do that in North America. I think that Mexico, Canada, United States, I don't think that we should venture too far outside of that. We've got plenty of racetracks to move all around those parts of the world. So I liked it.
I liked it too. I thought the racing product was great. I think they learned some things because there were a number of travel issues right out of the gate that I think was a hardship for the teams, though. Yeah,
well, it's a hardship for everybody, right? Because we're all traveling together. It was really like summer camp, honestly, because it was because you get on the plane and like I'm just seeing people I haven't really seen all year, and everyone's trying to find their spot.
And you're all staying at the same hotel.
Yeah, like the plane was first come, first serve. Right, so like that was kind of, but like the travel thing we're gonna work out. Like there were a couple snafus, and it got figured out. And honestly, from the time we landed to the whole time there, it was fine. There was no issues. We were at great hotels with great food and great things to do. The race product I thought was good.
Yes, very good.
I sat next to McDowell on the way home. And I was like, Watkins Glen is kind of like a super speedway. It's a faster road course. And then we got Sonoma, which is slower and technical. I was like, this one kind of in the middle. He's like, yeah, it's really fun to drive. He's like, there's passing
straightaway is forever.
Forever. I mean, the fact that so I don't know how much you guys could see on the broadcast, but it was raining quite a bit when it started. And they were obviously on slicks, and the green took. And I'm like, no one's going to make it out of turn one. And they didn't check up. Like, they went in full speed. And so that was insane that they made it through. It was amazing event.
Yeah. Well, it was very interesting, obviously, from what you mentioned with the tires and the strategy and everything that went into it. But SVG put on a clinic. And I mean, that was,
I mean, I knew.
We're already starting with this?
I already knew.
Can we say that we all, like, had a new...
I give you guys choices. You want to pick first? You want to pick last?
I just don't want to pick what you pick.
I'm fine with that. But right now, I've got double your points. So
congratulations. In case you're not keeping up, Kevin picked the winner again.
I think that when you look at SVG and his experience, and as Bob put it, he was leaking out both holes, didn't feel well. But I think when you go to a new racetrack like this that people haven't been to, it really... shows who are the guys that are elite, and SVG was right there. Ty Gibbs, right in the mix. I think he was really the only one that I felt like when I watched the broadcast that had the speed to keep up with Shane. I think it was a battle between those two guys, and obviously the caution fell at the wrong time for Ty. But it's, it was, when you get those mixed up conditions as well, and you see what he can do when it's wet, when it's dry, all the things that are in between. It's he's a world-class racer, and I think we thought this was coming, and now we see it with the standings and everything that it mixes up with the points. And I still believe we're going to have a couple more winners. I do.
Yeah, the points thing is getting...
And, right now, Briscoe's 14th. That puts Bowman and Busher, if that were the case, out, if they're not one of the winners. So... I think that, but from SVG standpoint, I mean, he's a world-class road racer, and I think he continues to get better on the ovals, and I think that will make his road racing even better as he gets more comfortable in the cars.
Yeah.
130 points below the cut line going into that, and now he has a spot in the postseason.
I mean, you gotta love the system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta love it. It gives opportunities all over the season to take your pick on where you want to really focus in on. And I think something
That's what he was hired for.
Yeah, no, literally, that's what I was about to say. So, like, we talk about Suarez having all this pressure to win in Mexico. The guy that had easily the second most amount of pressure was his teammate, because he was hired to win these road course races, and there's 6 of them. And like, especially the new ones, like, you really think that gap is going to be there. So his crew chief, Steve Doran, you know, our buddy that we used to be on Kevin's car,
First win.
Haas, first win for Steve. Love that for him. But that was a hard race to call, because with the weather coming in and out, and then it's always strategy with the road courses. That wasn't like a shoe-in situation. Like, they had to go get it, and there was a lot of pressure on the line for them.
I love that SVG said, "Stop telling me to slow down."
Like, I ain't doing that.
I'm going. I'm not slowing down. Right out of the gate, though, guys, there was a big pileup. This involved Kyle Busch, who said after the fact that he went to hit the brakes, and it was just like ice, and then it collected Kyle Larson and a number of other competitors. Lap 7, right?
Yeah, and the difficult part about when it's damp like this and you get on those rain tires, you know, when you get the tires locked up and it turns into feeling like ice, and you see Kyle, he got in there too hot, locked the brakes up, and the car spun around, and then it looked like my bowling score. He got 3 or 4 of them there, 3 or 4 pins on the way in. Knocked the lead out of the tungsten out of the back of that 7 car, and you see the 5 car run it over. So tough deal. I mean, Kyle's had a tough go at it. You know, some weeks you think, they're going to get it back on track, and then it's moments like this that just end their days.
And I was I was listening to Kyle and AJ chat a little bit pre-race, and like, Kyle thought that he had a pretty like decent car.
Yeah.
And then the rain came.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter how good you kind of think your car is, you haven't done this at all. And like, the pucker factor of going into turn 1 on ice and backwards like that, because the car did a 90-degree turn in an instant.
And that's one of the differences. I've never been more uncomfortable than I was in the rain in these cars. And, you know, I think when you look at a lot of the kids and things that they do now, rain is just like the go-kart kids in particular, and the guys who have been in this younger generation that have raced in some of these conditions that have been wet on the road courses and the ARCA races or truck races or whatever it may be. That's not something that I did. That's not something that Kyle did a lot of. And it's just, it's a very different feel, not to mention the different feel that comes with this car that we've seen Kyle struggle with so many times.
Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned, Kyle Larson was involved in that. They took that car to repairs, lengthy repairs, and somehow he still ended up with the fastest lap.
Yeah,
for that point.
Well, that's one point, right?
Yes.
And you just never know. I mean, he could have used that point last year, but they took that car back to the garage, and we've seen them do this a few times now and get better at it every time. Obviously, they're getting pretty good at it when they took the car back to the garage and made it fast enough to compete for the fastest lap. So they definitely every point matters. So they went after it and made something good out of it.
I appreciate the dedication to that part. Like, it's so easy to just throw it in and be like, we're done. Yeah. Right. But especially being in a new place, you know, a lot of anticipation. You only made a couple laps. Sponsors are probably like the Valvoline had 2 cars in the race. So, you know, for them to get that car back out and it to be fast. Yeah. Kudos to those guys.
Yeah, definitely. One driver who was missing from the field was Denny Hamlin.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
I didn't notice.
So he posted a tweet,
Let me check my phone.
to make this announcement, and said, "See you at Pocono," I believe is what it said, something like that. Obviously, his fiance, Jordan, finally had their son, his first son. Yep. So he elected to not travel to Mexico. In his place was Ryan Truex, and it was a rough ride for Ryan in that 11 car.
Tough task and to ask of Ryan to jump in that car, to be able to go out there and expect him to get anything out of that car is something that I don't know that many people could actually do. New track, new in the car, does a lot of sim work for that group. But being on the racetrack, weird conditions with rain in and out. And,
I don't think he's ever raced on the rain before.
I don't know, but just getting used to the car itself when the tires get wore out and everything that happens throughout the race with these next gen cars is very different. So I think it's that was a tall task, but that's a very unique situation with Denny missing the race. I don't know. You don't ever know the details of health and all those things that go with mom and baby. And so I would hate to criticize that scenario, not knowing all the details of everything that goes with it. So I know it would have to be pretty extreme to miss a race. So, I think that it would be tough to comment on without knowing all the details.
Yeah, I would never criticize someone putting their family over job, right? I think it's an interesting situation because we have the waivers and all the things like you think about,
which he already got.
Right, which he already got. So he's good, and luckily they have the wins in the bank because of the system. Because the system is the way it is.
Win is the waiver. Remember that quote from
win is the waiver.
Win is the waiver. So it allows you, when you have family situations like this, maybe you can kind of, work it out. So I think everybody is happy with the result. I wish it was a better result for Ryan. I hate that. I like to see him in a car every week, but he did what he could do.
Speaking of bad results and not working it out, there's two drivers who keep finding themselves in the same conversation week to week, and that would be Carson Hocevar and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Once again, these two having an on-track incident, and Ricky very vocal after the race on his feelings, both to the media and to Carson.
Well, it's been a pretty one-way street. As far as how these incidents are working out, and that means Hocevar into the bumper of Stenhouse, and I think Ricky finally had enough. Hocevar was a lap down, and that's really the part that Carson has to get better at. He has to have some common sense about the scenarios that he's dealing with, because it's going to be a day when he's leading the race and he's coming to lap Stenhouse, and Stenhouse is going to wipe his ass out. And that's how these things work, especially when you get to the point of having two or three of them. So Carson's got the speed. He just doesn't have all the common sense to go with dealing with on-track scenarios like this and not getting himself into them, because you have to play the politics of cup racing. And you can say you don't care about it, but it'll handle itself if you don't care about it.
It is going to handle itself. And before I give my comments, I want to hear from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. himself. Here's a clip.
I told him on the phone, if it happens again, we're going to have issues. And then that one was even worse because he's a lap down. He's racing nobody. I was working on the 34, trying to work my way forward. The tire attrition was pretty difficult, coming down to the end of it. And yeah, he just from 2-3 back, just ran right in the back of us. So, really dumb move. I 2 out of 3 weeks on me now. So I told him exactly what I was going to do, and we talked last time, and I told him I'll see him when we get back to the States. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? He didn't answer that question.
Yeah, he didn't quite get to that part.
I'm taking it that he didn't want to get stuck in Mexico.
Yeah.
Good point.
Here's the thing, right? The garage, the people that Carson are racing with, they're not 77 fans at all right now. There's not a single driver, I don't think, that is in that garage right now that when they're around him are going to cut him any slack or give him any respect. And he's got to decide how he's going to handle that. And it's going to get handled. And I think everyone's waiting for someone to handle it. Kind of like what we saw with Noah. Remember when Noah punched Ross a couple of years ago and Chase walked by and he was
Wait a second. When Ross punched Noah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. You're right. Noah didn't get to punch back.
That's right.
Yeah, Noah wanted to get to him, and Chase walks by and says, someone had to do it. That's how the whole garage, I think, feels about this situation. And I do believe Ricky does not give a damn.
No, I don't.
And he shouldn't at this point. I mean, I feel he gave him grace at Nashville with that scenario, probably more than I would have. And then to get wrecked by the same guy a lap down for no reason, just really shows. He's got to figure out the thinking common sense piece of it. And I don't know if he's definitely hasn't figured that out yet. I don't know if he's wired to figure that part out, because he's so wired to just go full steam every lap. But there is a balance, and a lot of times in cup racing, that stuff handles itself. But speed and brains have to factor together to win at cup racing.
The thing that kind of gets me is his interview after. He's like, I got a little bit to the left and got in the loose stuff and then locked it up all the way through the corner. I watched that like 5 times in a row. I'm like, you had the 47 was square. You were in his tire tracks, and it didn't lock up until you got to his bumper.
Yeah. And I feel like at this point, everybody just looks at it as it's just a bunch of horse shit.
Yeah, like, right? I don't trust what you're saying.
They don't trust him because it's happened so many times over and over and over. I love the speed, but now the garage is looking for results and things to progress in the right direction, or all the rest of that talk is just irrelevant.
You know what's interesting is they're right next to each other in the points. Hocevar is 60 out, Ricky Stenhouse 61. So they're right in the
it's only because one keeps getting run over.
You know what's crazy about that when you talk about those points is how fast that got so far behind. That's a race.
Isn't that crazy?
It's now they're a race behind.
Ricky was,
from a point standpoint.
Ricky was like in the 20s, and we talked about it all year.
And he was in the teams, in the playoffs.
He was like there. And because he's gotten run over by the same guy,
it's just dropping.
It's just been,
piles up fast.
It takes kind of like our fantasy picks, buddy.
Yeah,
I
mean, you guys definitely aren't piling up points. You're piling up L's.
Yeah, really unfortunate. Thanks to Bobby P, by the way, for getting that soundbite there with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Appreciate that.
Bobby P was working hard this weekend.
He was working hard. Someone who made some ground on the cut line was Alex Bowman. Scary incident for him, obviously, at the last race in Michigan. Had some lingering health concerns and expressed that, and had a relief driver on hand, was Anthony Alfredo, but they had a very solid day.
Gutted it out. And sometimes when you get into those scenarios where you're kind of not feeling good or you're hurt and you have to gut those things out, you get so focused on not letting that affect you that you become hyper focused on doing everything right. And it was a good day for the 48 to overcome all the things that he had to deal with from himself physically. We know that we talked a lot about the altitude being so high at Mexico City, so we knew all the drivers were going to be taxed in their scenario. So you know, I think the 48 team, they show flashes of brilliance in moments like this. We know that they can go out and win races and do what they need to do, but they're very inconsistent. And you know, I think good for Alex going out there and making it through the weekend and having a good result to go with it.
Listen, go ahead. Kevin.
I was just going to say he's now 22 above the cut. I saw where you sat next to him on the plane. Yeah. Right. What did he say about it?
So I mean, he was banged up, like, and I was a little, as a friend, just concerned because it's a road course. Like, if it's like another oval that we've been to, like, you probably can feel more comfortable, but it's already uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, you're banging off the curbs, both directions,
everywhere. Like, and it's so he's just putting in gutty performances right now. He's gonna have to for a little while, because it's not like he's gonna feel any better tomorrow as he did, you know, this weekend.
They can't count points. You know, you look at Briscoe, Bowman, Buescher, all those guys behind him, Kyle Busch, Ryan Preece, Ty Gibbs, Brad Keselowski. Those guys got to be thinking about winning. You know, there's 10 races left, and really their only opportunity to get into the playoffs is a win at this point. So, you know, I look at McDowell. I mean, there's just Hocevar. All those guys have to win to get in. And I do believe we're going to have a couple more winners before we get to the end of the playoffs.
If I'm the guys at the 48, if I'm rushing on the 48, I'm a little bit hyped up. I'm a little bit, because my guy gutted this thing out for us. He's here with us.
Sends a strong message.
Yeah, it sends a pretty good message to the rest of the team that we're in this for the long haul. We're going to figure this out.
For sure.
There were some attaboys I thought we should give out to John Hunter Nemechek and Cole Custer with good finishes. That's John Hunter's, his last really solid performance was the Daytona 500.
And they've been consistently banging around up there in the top 10 here and there, and had some good results. That's the first time that Cole Custer's been anywhere in sight this season, but they put together a solid day. So maybe they're at a point where they're going to turn their season around. So we'll have to wait and find out.
At least during the road course portion of the year, because Cole's a pretty decent little road course racer.
I can tell you,
get around,
the performance in the car is not Cole Custer's fault.
That's kind of my point.
Cole Custer can drive it. If it's fast, he's going to drive it fast, and he's going to do what he needs to do behind the wheel. The cars they're just way off.
One thing I do want to point out about this race was, because it was so new, there was guys that I think put in a little extra effort, thinking they might be able to steal some positions, maybe a win or just get there. And John Hunter, I think, was one of those guys. I did talk to him. He's like, I put so much effort into this event. He thought from the moment they unloaded that they were going to be good. And I
think that's just really the nature of road course racing today. We spent more time, even when I was driving the car, we spent more time on the road courses than we did anything.
Yeah.
And it was multiple weeks if you wanted, because you have to have the track memorized. You have to know all the curbs. You have to know the markers. You've got to have that track memorized because practice is short. I know they had an extended practice this week, but that's becoming the common trend. If you aren't willing to put in the time on the road courses, you're not going to be very good at it.
And it's not going to be fun.
Not going to be fun.
Solid day 2 for Chase Elliott. We used to talk about him obviously all the time.
He was on the podium.
He was on the podium. What did you guys think of that, actually, real quick? He's already ready to go.
This is a Kevin Harvick take, probably.
I'm sure.
Listen, for Mexico, if we do, Canada, if we do like the LA Clash, I'm cool with it. But week to week, hell no.
Yeah.
Like, we are a bottom line win. If you win, you're the guy. You are the group if you win. And that's all that matters. And I know other motorsports does it their own way. I'm cool with that. But here, nah. Ain't no podium. I'm not going to celebrate someone else's win right next to me. Are you kidding? No, absolutely not.
I heard Michael McDowell talking about it, how he thought there should be a podium because if he's on there, he worked hard too, and his team deserved the recognition. I think I agree with you, but I think they should do it for all the road courses because I think that's what those fans are used to.
I thought it was neat.
The podium's already there.
I don't want to see it every week like you, but visually it was very cool to see that in Mexico City.
The other thing that I think, like, if you're going to have a podium celebration, don't cheap out on a champagne. You got those little ass bottles of champagne.
You need the big ones.
I mean, it was like
little mini bottles.
You see SVG, he just banged it off the top.
But I mean, if you're going to have a bottle of champagne, I want that thing to be hard to pick up and it sprays some freaking champagne out of it. If we're going to have a podium, did you see the SVG? He had that trophy in his hand and he was looking at it like, what the hell is this thing?
The trophies were little.
So was the champagne.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like what they're used to, like F1.
And SVG and that sombrero. I mean, he made those other guys look like
they look like
tiny?
little action
They were
figures.
tiny.
Yeah. He's a big boy. He's a big boy.
And
he was on the highest part of it, obviously, and everyone else is
I love the atmosphere of the podium in the stadium though.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Certain things,
so too.
I think I'll give it certain races, like I said, but every week, can you imagine winning the Daytona 500?
Yeah.
You're so excited, and there's two other guys that are just next to you.
I'm not down with that.
No,
not at all.
Some traditions just need to remain. Yeah. But Chase Elliott, what I was saying was we used to talk about him being such a good road course racer in the old car. Now he has definitely struggled since this iteration of car, but this was a good day.
And we've heard Chase talk about it. He had a great day. And they had good speed. And we've heard Chase talk about the difference in the way that the car brakes and the way that the car handles and the things that it does under braking are just different in the next gen car. And I think when you look at somebody like SVG, who's coming into Cup with this style of race car, it fits the sports car, heavy braking, the size of the brakes, everything that goes with this car is definitely more in line with that sports car type style.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's not the style that I was used to. That's not the style that Chase, Kyle Busch, that's not the things that we grew up doing. And we used to have such an advantage with the old truck arm style car because we were good at not wheel hopping the car. The setups and things that we had were very refined as far as the development through the years of what we liked. But you had such an advantage with the way that the car would wheel hop because those guys couldn't really take advantage of their braking. Now SVG and Marcus Ambrose and the guys that could use the clutch and control the wheel hop with their feet were definitely better at the braking, but now it really magnifies that.
I think it's interesting to me watching SVG versus AJ, because AJ is a technician. Like, I think like Tom Brady, like, I'm going to be on point. Here, this is exactly what I mean.
Well, let's not get carried away.
No. He's the best.
Tom Brady.
He's the winningest. Listen, he's the winningest.
That's pretty high.
He's the winningest NASCAR driver on the road courses. So he's the Tom Brady of NASCAR road courses. There you go. And SVG's Pat Mahomes. That's how I look at it, because he does it differently. He can do.
He's creative.
He's creative, and whereas Tom is a technician, Pat is creative, and that's how I look at AJ and SVG when they do this stuff.
I do love Mamba's sports analogies.
Yeah, his sports analogy is very
pretty good.
They're good.
Look, he liked it.
He did. The Cup race, obviously, there was a lot going on in that, but I would be remiss if we don't mention once again Daniel Suarez's
the best part of the weekend
in his home country. This was actually just such an incredible moment, I thought, to see that play out for him and the fan response as well.
I was so excited for Daniel and all the Mexican fans that were there to watch him race in his home country. And for our event, and especially on Saturday, they should send him a bonus for probably selling tickets on Sunday because of the fact that he went out and did what he did Saturday and all those headlines and everything that came with that. But Daniel puts a lot of effort into this sport and his craft, but his story of how he got here and the sacrifices that he made coming from Mexico, and to go back there and win in the Xfinity Series is I was really, really happy for our sport and Daniel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Couple of things. One, I talked to some of the fans. Them seeing a homegrown guy, driver, athlete win on their home soil meant so much to them. I don't think they've seen that in a very long time.
In a backup car.
In a backup car, right? That they threw together, like literally, I think he wrecked with like 17 minutes left of qualifying. So there's no time. Was amazing. And you got to love it for Daniel, because it's like every year he's on the chopping block, right? Yeah. Of losing his ride. And he just always goes to work, has a smile on his face, happy to be there, and is one of the guys that you always pull for. And for him to have all this pressure and do it at the highest level for him, freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Very big highlight from the weekend, definitely was that. So guys, it's hard to believe this, but it's 10 races remaining till the postseason.
Unreal.
So that's all we got left. So I didn't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about this cut line and who you're most concerned for, or what you think about what we're seeing in the complexion.
I think everybody from 14th back in the current point standing needs to be concerned. So Briscoe, Bowman, Buescher, Kyle Busch, Ryan Preece, Carson Hocevar, Ty Gibbs, Brad Keselowski, anybody in between, I think that they're worried. The guy that's in the points that I'm worried about right now is Josh Berry. Where did that 21 car speed and just everything that they started the year go? So I'm a little bit worried about him, but I think that those guys need to race like they need a win. And I know they all want to win, but if you're talking about points in your shop, you are having the wrong conversation if you're 14th and back.
Not with this one, not with where we're at in this season. The gap is pretty significant, more than I feel like it normally is. And we're still in road course season.
Yeah, we're coming up on just a unique layout.
I mean, McDowell ran good.
Yeah.
McDowell was fast.
AJ was good.
There. Ty Gibbs was good. I mean, there were some guys that you show up to some of these other road courses, you're going to be thinking that they may have a chance to win. So, it's going to be interesting. And you got Daytona. Chris
Buescher, dude, Ryan Preece qualifying second.
I know.
Yeah, got a
modified guy.
By the way,
come on with it.
If he hadn't had that pit road penalty too,
he would have been up front.
Yeah,
he would have had a great finish.
Yeah,
we have some of the best race car drivers in the entire world. Like the whole field, they're so adaptable and so good. It's crazy.
Well, it's going to get very interesting, but the next challenge for the teams is a very unique racetrack we're headed to this weekend, the Tricky Triangle, Pocono. What'd you like about that place, or did you not?
I grew into liking Pocono once I got to that 4-car. We struggled a lot there in the old 2.9.
I think the 2.9, the thing that everyone remembered from the 2.9 was with Joey Logano, right? That's probably the...
Yeah. Well, Logano was at that Hocevar stage where it was just one of those things where he was always into it with somebody. And that was just one of those days where I was in that Stenhouse position where it was like, you're not chopping me off today. I'm tired of racing you and I'm spinning your ass out right now.
I think that you guys handled it a little bit differently than we see it now. I feel like you guys weren't afraid to, not that anyone's afraid right now, but you guys were quick to grab someone by the collar. And
now you guys get penalized for everything, it seems.
Well, you just have to not worry about the penalties. You just have to just follow your gut and just go for it. If you feel like jumping over a car or causing some chaos, you just got to do it.
Stirring some stuff up.
I used to have a slush fund. We'd set $50,000 a year aside for fines.
Of your own money?
Yeah.
Wow.
How often did you go past that 50,000?
There was a few years. Yeah.
Well, hey, everyone needs that little extra.
But I like
fund
Pocono.
there.
It's got 3 very unique corners. The turn 1 has a little more banking than the other 2 corners. Tunnel turn's flat. It's got a huge bump in the middle of it, so you have to navigate that bump to make sure that you don't get tight up off the corner, get past into turn 3. I always concentrated the most on turn 3 to make sure that I could get through the center of the corner with plenty of speed, but still be able to put the throttle down. That's a long ways down that straightaway. So I like going to Pocono. We would go golfing every year. We'd go to the Japanese steakhouse.
That's nice,
Keelan used to always go up there with me, and we'd have a good time. So lot of things to do up there.
Honeymoon capital.
Yeah, I like that. So ever since we switched to this they have one date.
Yeah.
The fans really, really show up
for
this one day. And I think there's something to maybe less is more for some places.
I just had a great memory.
Let's
and maybe our great team here in Los Angeles can go find this video. But Delane and I did a pre-race show in Pocono, and we went to one of these resorts, and it had this heart-shaped bathtub.
Oh boy!
Talk about, you said honeymoon resort. And I was like, oh man,
God.
That was back in 2001, I believe. And we went and did this little skit with Jeff Hammond and I think Chris Myers and myself and Delaney. It was funny.
We need to find that. So you guys were all sitting in a tub?
I don't remember exactly how that went. But it was a heart-shaped bathtub.
It's known for those, though, because apparently everyone used to go there for their honeymoon.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's still a top destination.
So have you seen one of those heart-shaped bathtubs?
I have not, but just in pictures.
Yeah. I haven't had the pleasure.
Yeah.
No? Maybe when you get married, your honeymoon.
Maybe.
Attend.
Maybe.
Are you going this weekend?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
no chief
He's all hyped. He's all hyped out.
I had to do double hype duties in Mexico. And I'm not gonna lie, that elevation was no joke. I got to the top of the stairs. Every time I walked up the stairs, my heart was starting to pound. I'm like, why? I'm not at it. Like,
that's because you were concentrating you were concentrating on eating all the food. You weren't worried about exercise.
I thought you were about to say something else.
What?
No, I'm fine with that. I like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got that gray hair sticking out of your beard too.
Everyone likes it.
Yeah. The gray beard.
Wisdom.
Mm-hmm. That's what we talked about last week. All right. So who are you eyeing though for this race? Like who do you feel was?
Well, Denny Hamlin's been really good at Pocono,
Yep.
for a long time. I think that usually some of the Hendrick cars are in the mix. So I think you got to look at William Byron, Kyle Larson. I think he's going to have to get that car back on track, and it's probably a good racetrack for those guys, Byron and Larson, to get themselves back on track. I think that Ty Gibbs he's been in the mix the last several weeks at different racetracks and had one thing or another, mix that up. So I think the Fords will qualify good, and I think that you'll have to beat a Gibbs or a Hendrick car.
Ross Chastain has been good there in the past.
Mm-hmm.
A guy I'm worried about right now is Tyler Reddick.
Yes,
sir. I just have not seen the 23 has been quick, week in and week out. Tyler's been able to grind out some good finishes and stay in the points, but they just haven't had that
raw speed that we're used to seeing.
Firepower. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is a good place to kind of figure some of that stuff out. So we'll see.
We'll have to see how all the teams fare out there in the Pocono Mountains.
They got a great slick track up there too.
Huh?
I think it's called SNS Speedway.
SNS Speedway, the go-kart track.
Yeah.
I have been there.
Oh man, I've left that place with many neck aches.
There's no rules.
There are no rules. And we used to go there. Stuart loved going to that place. And we'd go there and I don't know if I should say this, but anyway, we would sit in the back and drink beer, and it was just our team.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
And just go out and, knock each other around and had fun with it. So that was usually a yearly tradition that we would go to the slick track.
Yeah, that's
good memories there.
Good memories.
Up there.
Yeah.
Speaking of good memories, it's time for your segment.
Do you know
We've arrived.
Do you know what segment this is?
No, you said good.
No, you know what segment this is?
What?
This is North America's favorite segment of the show.
Yeah, it would be North America's favorite segment of the show if you could do it in Spanish, but obviously you didn't learn anymore.
No, or French. I can't do either one of those. So
maybe
we're going to do it in English.
Maybe we can translate it on the bottom.
We're going to do it in English, America. All right, listen, there's a little trend going around right now. And by the way, welcome to Mamba's Social Sips. There's a little trend going on social, and Bubba and Daniel Suarez had to jump on the train. Check it out.
This is me after one night in Mexico. Hola, this is me after dos nights in Mexico.
Tercera noche en México, mis paisanos. Se me están antojando unos tacos. ¿Cómo ves, güey? Vámonos riendo.
I like that. That is very cute.
That is so funny. When I saw that for the first time, I was rolling. And when Daniel started speaking, like when you're around him and he's speaking Spanish, it's so fast. Like I cannot comprehend anything.
Yeah, he did it in his post-race interview.
You know what? One thing that just sticks out to me about this weekend, making everybody stay in the same hotel, making everybody travel together, how much more content we get from everybody, and the camaraderie with everybody is very different.
Yeah, let's get rid of motor coaches. Everybody's staying in one hotel together.
But it's very different with the way that people having to go out and experience the food and do the things that everybody did. It's a very different message that has come from everybody because of the fact that they were together, their team was together. It wasn't like these guys were here and those guys were there. It's a very different message to me coming out of this race because of the fact that everybody had to be together.
That's a great point. Yeah, I mean, you said it too, just with your group at NASCAR.
Yeah, I mean, the drivers hung out a lot more. They did dinners together. I was hearing, and there was a driver's lounge that everyone was hanging out at the track, and they were all like talking about what they did for dinner the night before and who was it. I'm like, this is what we need. Everyone should be hanging out more. It's different. It's unique. Speaking of unique, I'm not sure who this is. I can't really understand her name, but I'm going to call her Mimi. Mimi had some very aggressive takes for this week's voicemail.
Hey, this message is for Kevin Harvick. If this is still your voicemail, my name is Sharon. I'm one of your biggest fans, the biggest fans of your show. But I get so irritated when you talk about Hocevar. I can't stand that punk. He is the most unapologetic, irritating. I don't care if he is fast. I don't care if he is good. I don't like his attitude. He stinks.
I'm not going to lie. The first time I heard punk, I thought she said something else.
I would say that she is spot on with the whole garage. So
Sharon.
very, very timely. Sharon.
Sharon.
Is that her name is Sharon?
Yeah. Mimi Sharon.
So Sharon, we agree with you. We love that you love the show.
Yes.
I love Hocevar's speed, but he's going to have to get his shit together. I agree with you.
And you said that came in a couple weeks ago before all this other stuff happened.
Yeah. So the timing of this, me and our producer Tyler were dying laughing. We had this one in the can a little bit. So, get your shit together, my guy. Thank you.
You're upsetting the old elderly fans now are very upset.
Yeah. Everyone's upset.
Everybody's
upset.
All right. Well, how do people leave voicemails?
805-317-4175. And if you want to leave us a nice little email for the mailbag, harvickhappyhour4@gmail.com.
All right. There you go.
I like voicemails like that when somebody's just pissed.
Yeah. I do too. It is very
Give me
entertaining.
that passion.
Yeah.
We want to hear that passion.
Yes,
Send us more of those.
More of those voicemails.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.co/audio. NASCAR is not responsible for this promotion and used under license.
Okay, guys, before we get into our picks for this week, we have to take a look at the best bet of the weekend, courtesy of DraftKings.
Well, it was SVG.
Yeah.
Plus 200. So it was very unanimous as far as who everybody thought was going to win, except for you two morons. But, I think that, plus 200 was probably more than I would have thought it. It probably even would have been about as high as I would have gone. Yeah. So, but that's where DraftKings set it. So take the checkered flag with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Harvick. That's code Harvick for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. When you bet just $5, only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
There you go. And the crown belonged to SVG in Mexico City. And we had a little bit of back and forth about this before we started the show on the burnout, because I personally feel it's the best one we've seen this year. The guys didn't fully buy in on this.
Well, I think as far as the length of the burnout, the smoke, all the different sections, it was a long burnout, but it just didn't have that same flair that Chase Elliott had at the Clash with the drifting and up next to the fence. And last year SVG, he took the cake. He was the top dog with the burnout because he had the middle finger hanging out the window.
That's true.
And he was doing the burnout, taunting Austin Hill. That's tough to beat. So.
Yeah, it was a good burnout. It was a
Great
good burnout. A lot of smoke. It was loud.
Yeah.
The fans were going crazy.
In the stadium.
On top. Yeah. It was cool, but can't be the best this year.
No, not the best.
No,
it wasn't.
Okay, so
it
we're
wasn't
disagreeing
cinema.
on that.
It was good.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good.
Yeah,
He did the football kick, or
he
you
did.
said rugby?
It's a rugby ball.
Rugby ball.
Yeah, yeah.
There you
I
go.
like that tradition.
I like
Nice.
when anyone has something
New
or different.
Yeah.
to offer.
I like that.
Good
Probably
job, SVG.
Need to make sure you have another one of those handy.
Yep.
Yeah, probably at least 2.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, the point standings continue to look a little sad for myself and Mamba, because Kevin is now at 77. I've been sitting at 39 for like 8 weeks.
That's a pure ass kicking right there.
And then 36.
That is terrible.
Listen, Unc.
That's
I need you to
41 points. By the way, 41 points over you. That's more points than you have.
Yeah.
Well, we still got a ways
Only
to
thing
go.
better than my points lead is Corey Haim's Truck Series points lead.
That's true.
Okay, but here's the thing. Like, I'm not going to pick you. I'm not going to close the gap. You got to risk versus reward, and we're risking it for the biscuit every week.
We still have 20 races.
Not to mention,
by the way.
I'm pretty sure we're going to reset this for the playoffs anyway.
That's right. That was our original plan, wasn't it?
Yeah. See how excited she got?
Either way, I'm going to beat you guys. So
I don't think so in the playoffs.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
You can reset it. You want to reset it now?
No. I want to reset it for the playoffs, so it's more embarrassing.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed this, but the gap keeps increasing.
I can do math. I do
And
understand.
Kevin likes to remind us.
Who was your pick?
AJ Allmendinger, which I didn't think was a bad pick. It's not that I have bad picks; they're just not delivering for me. It's very frustrating.
Can real quick? Technically, my pick won first.
So
Technically, no. I mean,
That's all we got to say.
we care because it was a unique situation, but it doesn't matter when it comes to cup racing.
No one said which race.
The
we were
cup
picking.
racing results are the only
we
thing
can't
that
start
matters.
changing the rules now.
That's
Like,
right.
Made
now we're
rules.
making
That's
right.
Yeah. No
These
rules.
picks are applying to Xfinity Series. Okay, speaking of picks, who wants to start for Pocono?
I'm not going first because I don't want you guys to have any excuses. So, ladies first.
Yeah.
I'm going with your guy that you usually select, Ryan Blaney.
Mm?
You're going
Won there
Blaney.
in the past. Yep. You said the Fords will be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said they qualify good.
That's where he got his first win. I'm gonna go with Chase Briscoe.
Oh,
Yeah,
good pick.
Yeah, I think that it's been a Toyota track here as of late for some reason. Obviously, Denny Hamlin has done really well here, but Chase has been having really consistent speed. So it's time for to get a win.
I like that.
Yeah, I think it's time for the 5 to reset. I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. I just think that there's been too many weeks of too many things being mediocre and things happening and all the things that they've had going on. I think it's just, especially if those guys just grid up and qualify good and
Grid up.
get the thing dialed in like it needs to be. But I mean, it's a good racetrack for them, so I'm going to go with Larson.
Okay, there you have it. Picks have been made. We'll see if we can make up any ground to Kevin in a few days.
Probably not.
I'm glass half full. I'm excited to embarrass
He's
him.
just beat me down so much. I'm just dejected.
Listen, you just gotta let it go in one ear and out the other.
No, I'm kidding. All right. Well, you have a cool interview with a key personnel from Ram on your Thursday show.
I do. Yeah, we had a lot of questions about the RAM program and everything that went with it. So we have the CEO of RAM on the show this week, and I think Tim was very open with all the things that I was able to ask him, and I think that RAM coming back is a huge story. It seemed like they had the announcement, and then it kind of went quiet, and I was like, well, we need to get
Revisit.
Tim on here and see if we can talk about this a little bit more, because I think it's a massive deal for our sport.
Yeah, it is.
Also, it was great timing because everything that was helping the trucks and trailers get around, it was Ram trucks.
Oh, really?
Police and military were hanging out with us with Ram trucks. So good timing.
There you go. Nice tie-in there.
Yeah.
All right. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review, voicemail, fan mail, all the things. Thanks for being with us, closers. We'll see you after Pocono.